right, back to Notre Dame and wide receiver Kevin Austin caught 48 balls, almost 900 yards. Key figure in the offense in 2021. He moves on, but you're feeling pretty comfortable about the wide receiver position.
I think for next year's purposes, the wide receiver position should be okay. There might be some depth issues here and there, and I think certainly with some of their recruiting misses over the last couple of years, Kevin Austin not leaving didn't really have an effect on that. But I think when you look at maybe 2023 and beyond, you might have some issues there if they don't land a few guys in the portal or have a really successful 2023 class, 2022 class, with only a couple guys coming in. So, but for next year, I mean, you return Braden Lenzy, who was a starter. Lorenzo Styles really took a leap in his, towards the end of his true freshman season. You have Joe Wilkins coming back for a fifth year. Avery Davis, who was a starter last year before tearing his ACL, is coming back for a sixth year. And to be honest, I think he was maybe their best receiver outside of Kevin Austin before the injury. So getting him back was certainly big. Deion Colsey was a top 100 guy coming out of high school, and he'll be a true sophomore along with Jaden Thomas, who was also a 4-star recruit last class. So there's definitely some talent there. The depth is really the big issue with this year. I mean, they lost Joe Wilkins towards the beginning of the season. They lost Avery Davis, like I mentioned. They had a transfer, early on in the year, and Lawrence Keys, who I think ended up at Tulane. And then Xavier Watts, who was one of their crown jewels of a class a couple years back, ended up moving to safety. So you lose those 4 guys. And depth was certainly an issue this year. And I think that showed in the bowl game, to be quite honest. You didn't really have a lot of guys you could turn to. So now you lose Kevin Austin. You only gain one guy in the 2022 class in Tobias Merriweather. Granted, great player, top 100 kid. He might, end up starting or at least being a key cog in that rotation for this next cycle, or for this next, coming year. So, and then it'll probably have to be. And then I think Matt Salerno, who was a walk-on, he was also their punt returner, or at least a guy that returned punts for them in the past, put him on scholarship. And I don't know if I want to say he's Chris Fink-like, but fairly similar. He's a guy that, he wins without maybe elite athleticism. So he's a guy to look at as well. So wouldn't be surprised if they go out and land a transfer or something like that. Hopefully a guy with multiple years of eligibility, because like I've mentioned already a few times, this next year might not be the year that they really need it. A depth guy would be great, but a guy that could be a starter for you down the road would certainly be, I think, better for them.
Salerno caught one pass for -4 yards. So I don't know if it really works if you prorate that. If you really want that kind of production, it may not be too favorable.